Hi, I'm your U.S. Senator Chuck Grassley, once again reporting to you as I do weekly when the Senate is in session from Washington, D.C. with my weekly webcast. I hope you participate. I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any suggestions for a webcast, let me know. I go to a different place on Capitol Hill each time. I'm in my office now. I thought that I would tell you about one of the most important aspects of my office, and that most important aspect is handled by two people I call my scheduler, Leah Shemp and Emily Cook. Leah Shemp is responsible for scheduling in Washington, D.C. Emily Cook does a very efficient job of scheduling my Iowa and outside of a D.C. schedule. I make a point of scheduling being a very important part of my office because, quite frankly, communication is what what representative government's all about. So if I'm going to be an efficient senator, I have to have an efficient scheduling operation to schedule meetings in Washington as well as Iowa. In the meantime, if you're interested in any scheduling, I hope that you will go to www.grassley.senate.gov. There you will find a scheduling event form, and you fill that form out and send it in to us, and it'll be considered on the same parity of everybody else's. In Iowa, you know, I have had this program for all the years I've been in the Senate of visiting each of the 99 counties every year. So far this year, I think I've been in 59 counties. I don't think I'll have any trouble finishing this by the time I usually do, by the end of the August recess or around Labor Day. Might even be way ahead of schedule so far this year. We get a lot of requests to meet in Iowa, and if you send in an event, I don't usually finalize things until 30 days out. Sometimes we keep things on file and maybe don't do them for a long time down the road if there's no particular date that they got to be done. So you send those in and we'll keep them on file, and we'll try to work those into our town meeting events, which happen usually during the week-long congressional recesses that we have from time to time. Also here in Washington, D.C., I reserve Monday through Thursdays from 3 till 5 for 8 15-minute appointments with Iowans. And if you are in Washington, D.C. and you want such an appointment, fill out the same form. If you can't come to Washington, you can still get on my 3 to 5 schedule, and we'll do it by telephone. Just make your request. I appreciate very much your participating in the process of representative government that way. I wanted to tell you what I do during this week. We're going to have the credit card reform bill up for this week, and probably it'll take most of the week. And then next week we're going to have the supplemental appropriation bill that the President's requested for additional money for the war on terror, and mostly for Iraq and Afghanistan. Now I go to questions. Several email questions come in all the time. I only have time on the webcast to answer a couple. So today I'm answering for Curtis from Waterloo. How could you grade President Obama's performance after the first 100 days? In the case of foreign affairs, a C. In the case of domestic affairs, a B. Then I will answer for Don from Des Moines. Will parts of Medicare be cut to help finance a comprehensive health care reform bill? You really can't cut Medicare in most parts of the country, particularly the upper Midwest and the mountain regions, because we're already exercising very much caution there on the expenditures of Medicare money, because you see, if the rest of the country practice medicine like we do in the parts of the country I just mentioned, the Midwest and mountain areas, we'd cut 1/3 of the cost out of Medicare. So what we have to do is try to get the rest of the country to be a little more reasonable like we are in this part of the country. So what we're suggesting as a way of not necessarily cutting money from Medicare, but more equitable distribution of it. Since we want to encourage the practice of medicine to be right the first time, rather than having it done badly and then people going back and back to the hospital. We're going to start reimbursing Medicare based on quality instead of quantity. That should help the high-cost areas of the South where they don't do as good of a quality job like we do in the Midwest to come down in reimbursement and money transferred to the upper Midwest and mountain areas. So that's the way I think it'll be done. There will be some savings though in the process of doing that. But you see, we aren't making a decision to cut X percentage. We're emphasizing quality delivery of medicine, and with quality delivery of medicine, you save a lot of money in Medicare. So I thank you all for participating. I'll be with you next week for another webcast.